Good morning students and welcome to the new lecture of accountancy. Today our topic is very important for being as you are doing the accountancy or as an account student. It's very important to at least when you are preparing the final account, it's very important to at least know about what are the different kind of adjustment you are also going to be understand, because when you are making your final account, there are some adjustments which are out of the trial balance and you are to adjust it. So I need to say that as you know that you are doing the accountancy and you have you started with the journal, then you have made the ledger, then you are just know about how to prepare the trial balance. After preparing the trial balance, the main important thing where the accountancy is really start, it is that final account when you prepare. It is the point when you prepare the final account. That is the point your accounting actually start. Before that, you have just note down all the transaction in your journal, then the ledger, then the trial balance. It is all the bookkeeping. Till you are just making the accounts and you are just classifying the accounts, different account in the ledger. This is all bookkeeping. When you took all the information from your trial balance and you go with the income statement, you go with the balance sheet statement, that is actually says the accounting procedure. So it means that where the bookkeeping ends, your accounting start. So it means that we can say that in the first topic we have already discussed that how to make the final account of any company or any business, as basically we have in the final account we have the two kind of the statement. One is called the income statement and other one is called the balance sheet statement. So in the income statement, it is a statement which actually tell about the profitability of a particular company or the business. With the help of the income statement, you come to know about the different shades of the profit, like you can assess the gross profit, you can assess the operating profit, and finally you can assess the net profit with the help of the P&L account, which is called profit and loss account. And in the other statement, that is called the balance sheet statement, it is actually the statement of your liability, of your capital, then your assets and liability. So it is actually the statement of you are just scrutinize or you are just line up all the items of the assets as well as liability, plus the capital is also with a part of the balance sheet. So with the help of these things, you actually prepare your balance sheet. So when you prepare the income statement and the final and the balance sheet, when you take it together, it is actually called the final account. It is called preparation of the final account, and with the help of that, you come to know about the profitability of any concern and also the balance, you can say the detailed study about your assets and liability. So in the first lecture, we have already know about how to prepare all the final account with the making of the trading account. Then you have to make when you make the trading account, you are come with the gross profit. Also, when you come with the gross profit, then you have to make the profit and loss account. So we can say that the profit and loss is the extension of the trading account. So with the help of trading, you come to know about the gross profit, and the P&L account is actually start with the your gross profit on the credit side, and vice versa. If there is a loss, it will be opposite side. So that was you have just done before in the first chapter, that is the final account without adjustment. Now we are moving to the more critical part, that is the final account with the adjustment. So there are some adjustments which are actually skipped from the trial balance. It means that you make the final account with the help of the trial balance. All the information regarding all kind of the you can say the accounts are there given, and with the help of that trial balance, you just pick all the item and you just put it in the either item will go to the trading account, or it will go to the P&L account, or one stroke of all the items. But when we are doing the adjustment portion, it means these are all the adjustments which are actually not there in the trial balance. It is given in the footnotes. Then because it's, you can say, when it is out of the trial balance, it's very important that you must be remember and be in your mind that when you are doing the adjustment, always the adjustment is going to strike on the two. Either it will strike to the trading and the balance sheet, or it will go to strike to the you can say the profit and loss and the balance sheet. It means when you are dealing with the adjustment item, it is actually going twice. It will be going to be hit the two. It means either it will be trading or balance sheet or P&L or balance sheet or trading or pillar. It means that you are to take care about that. Whatever you are just picking for the adjustment, it at least go to twice. So why do we do the adjustment? Because there are some items without that your income statement as well as your balance sheet statement, without considering this, you will be not receive or arrive to the right profit. You will be not see the true and fair view of your balance sheet if you will not take care about all the item which is outside the trial balance, which is for the adjustment. So one by one we will going to or we will try to understand that how these all adjustments are going to be set in the final account. So first if we move to the first, that is a closing stock or inventory. Now closing stock, it means it is an inventory. Closing stock means the stock which is at the end of financial year you are to take it, and if this closing stock is actually given in the outside, given outside the trial balance, it is definitely going to hit the two side. So how you will take it as, so the closing stock, if it is given in outside trial balance, and normally it is always given in the outside of the trial balance, you are to take the trading account and the balance sheet. So the closing stock will head to the credit side of the trading account, and also it will present in or visible in the asset side of the balance sheet. So this is the way you can adjust your closing stock. Now come to the outstanding expenses. What do you mean by the outstanding expenses? Outstanding expenses mean the expenses which is you have to pay. You have not paid yet. It means that expenses become your liability. That is the current liability. The outstanding expenses are treated as a current liability. How you will going to treat it? If the outstanding expenses is outside the trial balance, it is there given in the footnote as an adjustment. So it means when you are make the profit and loss or final account, in the P&L account you will take a P&L account and the balance sheet. In the outstanding, the outstanding expenses, if any, is going to be added in the expenses. Suppose there is a salary and there is an outstanding salary. You are going to add on the debit side. You will take all the your expenses and losses goes to the debit side of the P&L. So salary is your expense, and if there is an outstanding salary, you are going to add that outstanding salary with the salary on the debit side of the P&L. There is a one stroke. The second stroke will be, because outstanding salary is an expense, but if it is outstanding, it becomes the liability. So you will take the outstanding salary on the liability side by showing it outstanding salary. Now come to the prepaid or unexpected expenses. What do you before doing the treatment of the prepaid expenses, you also know about what is the meaning of prepaid expenses. So prepaid expenses mean you have already paid the amount, but the services of that is not yet used by you. So it means that it is a benefit to you. You have already paid. So also because it is the prepaid expense, it is an expense. Expenses always goes to the debit side. Suppose it is a prepaid expense. Suppose it is a prepaid insurance. So it means insurance is an expense. it will going to, you are going to less the prepaid, because it is not related to your current year. You are taking all those items, all those expenses, all the losses, all the income, all the gain of the current year, because prepaid you have paid for the coming month and you have not used the services yet. That's why it's not concerned to this much of time. That's why you are going to less the prepaid insurance premium. It means here you are going to minus the prepaid expense from the concerned item, and also prepaid on the other hand, it is a current asset already you have paid for. That's why it will be showing to the asset side of the balance sheet by the head of the prepaid expenses. Now come to the accrued income. What do you mean by accrued income? So accrued income, you can say that the income earned but not received. Accrued income is also treated as a current asset. Accrued income is also treated as a current asset. So it means that it is the income which you have earned but it is yet not received by you. You have worked for that. Now the salary or the, you can say, the wages is not yet received by you. Then how will you treat it? Now again you will take the two, that is the P&L and the balance sheet. Accrued income is also going to be added in your concerned account. That suppose if it is the interest received, if there is an interest received and also some accrued interest is due by with you are going to add the accrued income or interest. So it is going to be added to the concerned account, and also accrued income is also just like your asset. So that's why it is going to be show in the or you can say show in the asset side of the balance sheet. So accrued income will be showing to the asset side of the balance sheet. Now come to the income received in advance. Income received in advance means in the starting of the month you have taken your salary, just because of any reason you have just withdrawn your salary, or you talk to your boss about your problem and your boss just given the salary in advance to you. It means here it is you are going to be liable for whole of the month for the work, and already you have just withdrawn that money. It means it is just like a current liability on your head. Okay, so it means income received in advance. Although it is an income, but because you have received in advance, it is actually not income but your liability, or it is your current liability. How you are going to be take it? So you will take it as you will go to the accrued. Yes, you will take it as just like the rent. Suppose there is a rent, okay, and you will see the rent in advance. So here you will take it as less rent in advance. You will going to less it, less income in advance. You are going to cut it, because still it is just like your it is in advance. It is not concerned with the concerned month. Also, because this is the current liability, you will take it on the liability side of the balance sheet, like income received in advance. It is the current liability, so it will be going to add into your liability side of your balance sheet. So this is all about how you are going to take it as income received in advance, because it is the unearned income. Now come to the depreciation. Now what do you mean by depreciation? Depreciation is a decreasing value of the asset when you are using that asset in the business purpose. Okay, so it means whatever the asset, it is either it is a furniture or a layout or a plant or the machinery, whatever you are using for your business purpose, and whatever is just giving or helping you to generate the revenue, that is your asset. And when you are using it, it means the value of that asset is becoming less day by day by using it, which is called the wear and tear. So it means when it is also given into the outside of the balance sheet trial balance, you are also taking on the two side. It means depreciation non-cash item. This is a non-cash expense, but it is an expense. So that's why you are going to take it on the debit side of the P&L. You will take it the depreciation on the debit side of P&L because it is the non-cash expense. It is an expense. Whether it is in cash or non-cash, but it is an expense. That's why it will be go to the debit side of your P&L account. Also, it will be going to add to the concerned asset. If the depreciation is you are charging for the furniture, you are deducting that depreciation from the furniture. So it is going to be add to your connected with your concerned head. Suppose there is a furniture, you are going to deduct that much of the depreciation from furniture. So you are going to give the two stroke of a one adjustment. Now come to the bad debts. What do you mean by the bad debts? So bad debts mean the debt for the money which is not received by you from your debtor. Your money become bad. Your debt become bad. That's why it's called bad debts. So now how you are going to treat it? So suppose if there is a bad debts and you are going to treat it in the final account. Suppose in the trial balance there is a bad debt and also there is a further bad debt. The bad debt which is outside the trial balance you will take it as a further bad debt. So further bad debts you will take it to add in the balance. The bad debts which is already there in the balance sheet and the bad debt which is in the trial balance you will take it as a further bad debt. Further bad debt is going to be added in the bad debt account. In the P&L, you will actually going to add the bad debt plus further bad debt. Further bad debt it is you are taking from the outside of the trial balance, which is given in the adjustment portion. And also in the balance sheet, you will take the further bad debt. You are going to deduct that further bad debts from your debtors, sundry debtors. How much your debtors are, you are going to deduct that for the bad debts from your asset side of the balance sheet. Now, come to the next, that is your provision for the doubtful debtors. Come to the provision for doubtful debtors. Here also you are taking the P&L account and the balance sheet. So, provision. Now, come to the provision. Provision is actually the creation. You created the provision because we create the provision for those liability which is 100% going to be happen, but the amount of that is not known to you. So it is, that's why you are created is kind of a provision for that, because you know that there is a certain probability of happening that. Okay, so also you are going to take it provision. You will take it from the debit side when you create a provision, and it is outside your trial balance. It is given in the adjustment portion. It will go to the debit side of your P&L account. So it means how much provision you have created, it will go to the debit side. So provision on the debtor or doubtful debtor. Also here balance sheet. In the balance sheet you will cut down the provision from the debtor. Provision for doubtful debt or provision, or you can say the provision for for the doubtful debt. It is actually for the debtors, so that's why it will be cut down. The provision is actually created from the debtors. That's why it is cut down from the sundry debtors in the balance sheet. Now this is the way you can do it. Now next is the manager's commission. Manager's commission. How you are going to take it, the manager's commission? See, manager is a person who actually taking care of manage all the things. So sometimes you actually just to motivate your manager, you actually give the option, or just give you can say the offer to the manager that if you will do it, you have a certain provision. If you do your management better, you have a certain provision on the profit. So when you are just calculating the manager's provision, we have actually the two ways. It means first is that the manager provision payable on the profit before charging the commission, and second one is the manager commission payable on the profit remaining after charging the commission. So there is a two way. One is before charging the commission, other is after charging the commission. When you are taking the commission, that is manager's commission payable on profit before charging. Then you are to simply take the net profit before charging the commission. It means the net profit multiplied by the percentage of commission divided by the percentage, that is 100. And when you are taking the manager's commission payable on profit after charging the commission, it means there is a little slight change in the formula. You are taking the percentage of the commission upon 100 plus percentage of commission. Suppose there is a manager's commission is the 10%. Then you want to take it 10 upon 110 multiplied by the net profit before charging the commission. So 10 upon 110 means the 100 is for the percentage and 10 is the manager's commission. You are going to add it on the denominator. So 10 upon 110 multiplied by the net profit of charging the commission. Now next is your interest on capital. What do you mean by interest on capital? Interest on capital, it is for the sake of the business point of view. It is just like you can say the expense to the business, and when we are taking on the eyes of or the owner side, it is a benefit on the capital. So one side it is just a benefit on the when we are taking from the owner's point of view, but it is just like an expense when we are taking as in a business point of view. On the business eye, it is the expense also, because the business has to give the interest on the capital to the owner. So how you will take it? Interest on capital. So interest on capital also give the twice impact. So when you are taking the interest on capital, you are taking P&L account and balance sheet. It will be going to on the debit side of the P&L account. Interest on capital, IOC, is going to be shown in the debit side as an expense side of the P&L, and in the balance sheet, because in the balance sheet the capital item is there, it is going to be add IOC or with along with the capital. How much the capital of yours is there, the interest on capital is going to be add with the capital, just to give the other amount. Now next is that goods taken by proprietor. It means that it is kind of the drawings. So it means when the goods are taken over by the proprietor, it means the goods are not sold in the market. So there is no matter of the sale. There is no sale at all. It means goods when it is used, you are actually it is hitting the purchases account, not the sale account, because the sale has not happened, because the proprietor has not sell the thing in the market but use the commodity or the goods for the personal use. That's why what account, the purchases account, is going to be decreased. That's why you will take it as you will take here the trading account and the balance sheet. So for the trading, because there is a purchases in the trading account, purchases are on the debit side. So it means that it's shown as a debit side by the way of deduction from the purchases. So from the purchases, you will going to minus the goods taken over proprietor, that is the drawing you can say. Also in the balance sheet, you will show it. It is shows on the liability side by the way of deduction from the capital. It means the capital is written on the liability side. You are going to minus out that much of amount which is the proprietor has used as an input taken over for personal use. So this is the way you will do the calculations. Now move to the next, that is your abnormal goods distributed among the staff for the sale, staff for the welfare. Now it is also, you will take it on the trading account. Okay, it will be the same also, because here also you are using the goods not for the sale but for the use. So in the trading account and in the balance sheet, in the trading it will be deduct from the purchases, and in the balance sheet you will You will minus that from the capital by the way of the deduction. And also it will show on the trading account as a deduction, and also it will not go into the balance sheet, but it will go to the P&L account, because here you are using it for the welfare of the staff. That's why it will be debited to the P&L account. It's not going to the balance sheet. It will be go as to the P&L account debit side, because you are using it for the staff welfare purpose. Now moving to the next, that is your abnormal losses. Abnormal losses. See, there are some losses which is accidental, and sometimes you have also taken the insurance policy on that. At the spot of the abnormal loss, sometimes you also receive the claim. So it means when it happens, then how you will going to put this abnormal loss in your final account. See, how much loss has happened. It will be going to be a show on the credit side of your trading account. By suppose there is a loss by the fire, it means so you will take it on the credit side by loss of stock by fire. And also in the P&L account, you will be taking the loss on the P&L debit side. So it means that for the abnormal losses, you will take trading account and P&L. On the credit side, you will take the losses on loss on fire. Okay, here in the P&L account, you will take that loss that is loss of stock, because it is a loss. But if you have received the claim will be going, how much claim you have received, that is going to be less from the loss. If the loss has happened with the 1 lakh and you got the claim of 80,000, it means that the real loss is only 20,000 is for you. Now also that insurance claim is also going to show in the balance sheet, insurance claim received. So this is the way you will show all the items. And if you have given the or taken the any insurance policy, how much claim you have taken, it is actually deducted from your real loss. It means if the total loss you have got with the claim, it means there will be no item for the if there is no loss at all. And if there is some loss, if there is even after getting the claim, if you have loss, that loss will show into the P&L on the debit side, and how much claim you have received will show in the your asset side of the balance sheet. So these are some important adjustments of your final account, which is without all these adjustments, you are not able to attempt your sum, you are not able to prepare your final account statement. So I think it is enough for today, and we will definitely meet in the next lecture. Till then, I will say God bless you.